Parliamentary reporter dictation number 30 and the dictation speed is 150 words per minute. Ready? Start. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support the demands for grants for the Ministry of Agriculture, Food, Rural Development, Civil Supplies and Public Distribution. I compliment our Honorable Minister Sri Balram Jhakar, who is keeping in view the dreams of our father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi, who always felt and said that the progress of India lies in the progress of rural India. We have to fulfill the aspirations of the people of rural India. We have to make their dream come true. More than 80% of the people dwell in rural India. Therefore, a new democracy was introduced after the independence of India, and all our stalwarts who came and adorned this august house, whether they were in opposition or in position, they also felt that agriculture is one of the most important aspects of livelihood of the Indian people. I do not deny the contribution of the opposition leaders and the opposition stalwarts who adorned this house and contributed to the welfare of India, but I will be failing in my duty if I do not pay my compliments to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. If Mahatma Gandhi is the father of the nation, I will call Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as the father of India's democracy. We had capable colleagues with him and with the capable colleagues and stalwarts in the opposition. He built a modern, self-reliant India and he dreamed to make India beautiful and self-respecting. Like a true Gandhian, he started his movement and he thought of rural India. He knew what the land of India needs. There used to be famine earlier, but he said what India needs is water. So he started programs to harness the rivers. He knew that we need power, and so he started power stations. That is how we started building up our India with the help of our great leaders like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. We started building up a self-reliant India, the fruits of which we are now reaping in this august house. We are discussing the progress of rural India. After Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri started a movement called Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. This movement also picked up. We started growing more food for the people of our country. Srimati Indira Gandhi completed the task of Green Revolution. Sri Rajiv Gandhi felt that still the rural poor is being neglected. Sir, about agriculture, I would like to say that the farmers of India always stood by the needs of the country. If the Green Revolution is successful, it is because of the sweat and blood of the farmers of our country. In the same way, I would like to say that so far as our fishermen are concerned, if the farmers grow food for us from the soil, the fishermen go deep into the sea and fight with the waves and strong currents of the sea and bring food for us from the sea. But unfortunately, we give incentives to them to produce more and we do not give many incentives to them to earn more. A farmer needs good seeds, favorable weather, fertilizers, pesticides, water, electricity, tractors, diesel, bulls, labor, and his own hard labor and work. In the same way, a fisherman needs good boat, good nets, diesel, good weather, favorable sea, suitable places to anchor his boat. All these things cost money, labor, and a lot of risk to life. But the price fixed for their labor and yield is much less than the labor and money involved. We should not forget that a farmer or a fisherman has to raise his family, educate his children, take care of their health, and see to it that they attend festivals, they have proper clothing, and he has to see to it that he gets his children married with respect and dignity. He can manage all these things from the yield of his fields or the catch of fish from the sea. Today, with the essential commodities of life becoming very expensive, it will be fair on the part of the government to give a reasonable and fair price to the yields of the farmers and the fishermen. Our farmers toil in the villages They cannot provide full, proper, nutritious diet to their children. I am sure our Honorable Minister, being a farmer himself, will do the needful. I know that he has many programs and he will definitely take care of the smallest of the farmers. About civil supplies and public distribution system, I feel that everything looks very rosy on paper, but at the grassroots level the enthusiasm fades away. What we need is a social and moral commitment from the members of the government, politicians or bureaucrats and the shopkeepers who have got license to distribute the various essential commodities of life. They all must have a commitment that any foodstuff that reaches the poorest of the poor, any foodstuff that reaches the villages will be pure, of good quality and wholesome. Mr. Deputy Speaker Sir, I rise to support the demands for grants relating to the Ministry of Labour being headed by a dynamic leader and young minister. In a vast country like ours, where we have a very large population, labor force is a very important ingredient for the development of our nation. This particular human resource has not been utilized to the extent possible. This is indeed regrettable. We should look upon population not only as a liability but in the given circumstances our population or the manpower should be utilized to the best possible extent by giving suitable training. I think the labor department and the laborers deserve a great deal of respect because whatever we do in this country, the whole process of national reconstruction revolves around the work of the laborers. Only a very small percentage of the labor force, about 10%, is in the organized sector, whereas about 90% of the laborers are in the unorganized sector. About 27 crore laborers are in the unorganized sector and only 3 crore laborers are in the organized sector. For the welfare of a large number of people, various laws are being made. We have been talking about labor legislation for a long time. A lot of legislations have already been made, but we have to consider seriously whether all the legislations have helped the labor class. I am sorry to say that a lot of these laws are just accumulating dust and they have not been really useful in many circumstances. Unless the law is practiced in the proper spirit, the workers will not be benefited. Thus, particular aspect has to be taken into account while making the legislation. Now, there has to be a great deal of political will and enthusiasm to see that the labor laws are really implemented and benefit the people. Our dynamic and young minister has recently said in a meeting in Pune that in this session a new legislation is going to be presented. It may not be completed in this session, but certainly it is going to be introduced and it is for the benefit of the organized sector. A new comprehensive and integrated legislation is going to be introduced by our government for the sake of guaranteeing minimum wages and for providing pension for people in the unorganized sector. The condition of the laborers is indeed very bad in our country. Look at any factories or any of the big public undertakings. How much care does the employer take for the benefit of the laborers on whose integrity and hard work the whole enterprise of that particular industry is flourishing? You will find that a very few industrialists really look into the different welfare aspects of the laborers. Take the example of families and children of the laborers. Do their employers make proper arrangement for their health care and education, leave aside their cultural upliftment or their cultural life? Such efforts are not made even in the organized sector. What happens in the unorganized sector is anybody's guess. The families of the laborers are not looked after properly and a great deal needs to be done, and in this regard voluntary organizations can play some role. A small amount of 3 lakhs of rupees has been provided for the welfare of children and women in the unorganized sector. I would urge upon the Honorable Minister that the allocations to the voluntary organizations for the betterment of women and children in the organized as well as unorganized sectors should be increased.